David, since you are both an historian as well as a constitutional attorney, take just a couple moments, if you could, and give us some points of history and background that led to the writing of the First Amendment and the choice of what actually is contained in what we now refer to as the First Amendment.
Well, of course, one of the main things that caused the First Amendment to come about was because of the Church of England. And the framers of the Constitution did not want the federal government to have any power to create a national church. And they did that so that the states could, if they choose, have a state church. Some of them did, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Hampshire. Most of them did not. But even the ones that did not have a state church effectively had Christianity as their religion to some extent and in different ways. Now, the biggest mistake that people make about the First Amendment is they think it's the most important amendment, and that's why it's first. In error. The First Amendment is first by accident of history. Originally, Congress, when they finished the Bill of Rights, sent 12 amendments to the states. The first two on that list did not pass. The third to the 12th passed, which became the first 10 amendments or the Bill of Rights. Now, if you want to know what the original Second Amendment, our Second Amendment talks about guns. The original Second Amendment, if you want to see what it says, go to the amendments of the U.S. Constitution, go to the very last one, which is the 27th Amendment that was ratified in 1992. That is the wording of the original Second Amendment on that list of 12. And you're going to say to me, David, wait a minute. You said the Second Amendment, the original Second Amendment, was initially proposed by Congress in 1789, and that it finally passed in 1992. What is that? That comes to about 203 years. It took 203 years to ratify the original Second Amendment that Congress sent to the states in 1789. Now, the next big mistake that people make about the First Amendment is that religion is listed first in the First Amendment because it's the most important freedom. Totally false. When James Madison submitted the Bill of Rights to Congress, he did it on June 8th, 1789. That is the birthday for the Bill of Rights. That's the day that Congress walked in, James Madison walked into the House of Representatives and said, here's my proposal for the Bill of Rights. His original First Amendment was a rewrite or an addition to the current preamble. He didn't like it the way it was. It was too short. What he effectively wanted to do was add the concepts in the Declaration of Independence in this new amended preamble. It didn't include the word creator, or it did not include the word God, but that's what he wanted. His original Second Amendment was first on that list of 12, apportionment. His third on the list of 9, he submitted 9, was what was passed in 1992. Now, the fourth on the list that he submitted on June 8, 1789, was what we now call the First Amendment. The freedom of religion, no establishment of church, freedom of speech, etc., etc., freedom of the press. But he also included in that fourth list all the things of the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the Sixth Amendment, and the Seventh Amendment, and the Eighth Amendment. What Congress did later is they took his proposals and they separated what he had as the Fourth Amendment, which had religion and all these other amendments combined. They separated them in our current Fourth, Fifth, Sixth, and Seventh Amendment. So those are the two biggest errors that people have about the First Amendment.